የተወደዳችሁ የሰላም ካቶሊክ ቲቪ ተመልካቾች ቤተክርስቲያን በተልዕኮ ላይ ፕሮግራም ላይ ዛሬ እንግዳ ይዘን እንቀርበናል እና ይህ እንግዳ ከውጭ ሀገር የመጣ እንግዳችን ነው። ራሱን ያስተዋውቃል። ግርማ እንደምን አለ? So I ask you to introduce yourself in English. Maybe if you want to say a few words in Amharic, we will do it later on. But this is a Catholic television. We call it a Pax TV, Salam Catholic TV. And we wanted you to be a guest today because we have also programs related with the social teaching of the Church. So you represent somehow some of the values which the social teaching of the Church is also focusing on. So we would like to have a conversation in the coming half an hour or 40 minutes so that you can have a platform where you share your experience, you share your vision. And before doing that, I would like to give you the floor to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Petros, and thank you for having me here. My name is Girma Sagar, and I'm an Ethiopian that went on a very long expedition in the Netherlands. I lived there for 28 years, and what I'm doing now is what I did as a baby. I'm learning. I'm an eternal student of life, and the lessons that I learn, I try to implement in all areas. So in my professional life as an entrepreneur, I am managing a company that's focused on ecological building. Also managing another company that's focused on education reform and educational transformation, as well as we have an NGO that supports social initiatives towards justice, and I'm a member of a couple of boards and initiatives, among others, World Connectors, which is
World Connectors,
a think tank that puts consciousness into action, and it's a Dutch think tank that contributes to social and ecological justice in a systemic way by connecting people that are putting consciousness into action into different professional activities, and I'll delve into it a little bit more. But that's in.
Thank you and welcome. You are born here in Ethiopia, but you are grown up in the Netherlands. Yes. And can you say a few words how you ended up in the Netherlands?
Yeah. Well, the few words are my parents could not take care of me at the time around my birth, and when I was 2 years old, I got adopted to the Netherlands. Those are a few words.
Okay. And then you grew up in the Netherlands. You studied. Can you say also more about it and your study and your background?
Yeah. I grew up in a small village in the Netherlands in Voorschoten. You can probably, maybe you even know it. Yes, you can pronounce it and you know it. I grew up in immediately knowing that from a young age, knowing that I was different than my surroundings. So the idea of a sense of individualism or a sense of self was born, not per se from a good perspective, because it was born out of more racist dynamics. However, I do look back at my upbringing also very fondly. played a lot of. I loved to play football. I was always outside. I had adoptive parents who were really wise. Not in so and if I look back at it, I now understand that it's not only about academic achievement in terms of knowledge, but because they didn't per se go to university, even though they would probably could have been if they wanted. But their wisdom was expressed in the way they raised us. I have two siblings who are adopted from other families at Ethiopia, and I have one sibling that's the biological child of my adoptive parents. So I had a good upbringing in Voorschoten, because of my parents and despite of the surroundings.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned that you are involved in various activities, which is also my interest on, to discuss with you about the foundation essay, and then also Terafino and the NGO you have running. So all these are based on the transformation of the society.
Yes.
Whether it is in the Netherlands, but also in Ethiopia. But what is the motivation you intended, to engage in a very young age on this different areas of social engagement, as many of the young people in the Netherlands, they are busy with some business or career, their future development in a different direction. But this is yours is more different than, I think, other, normal young people in the Netherlands, I suppose.
I suppose you could say that. But I think that's because I got interested in injustice, because I had to do it with, I encountered it myself, being discriminated from a young age, being treated differently. First, I wasn't per se interested in injustice in the sense that I wanted to understand it. I was just, I couldn't escape it. So I was more, in a state of turmoil every time. But the moment I had, I think actually it's I think now 6 or 7 years ago, I took a sabbatical of 1.5 years after working in corporate, and before that laying the foundation of what we're doing here now in Ethiopia in terms of the project. And it was at that moment where I took a time of reflection and paused. Before that I was running around always. That I became interested in the key themes that seemed to come back in my life, such as injustice. And I started to put to formulate a question. Instead of finding answers, I started to formulate a question, and that is, what does it mean to be human, and how does that relate to how we constructed society? And I became so infatuated that question took over my entire life. It was so interesting that I now could look at these themes not from a perspective of, oh, look what happened to me, and from a perspective of victim, without negating the fact that there are things that happened that I have to be healed from. So I'm not bypassing it. However, I'm seeing that me as a victim, but that is not my full identity. I was able to then also look at it. Okay, what are the elements that would make me a victim, and can I understand that? And what are these elements also to be seen in society in general, and maybe other people experience them as well? And that was so interesting that I couldn't stop. And I believe that it's probably what it means to be human, I'm under the assumption that what it means to be human is also that if you fall in love with something, that you will, if I would fall in love with something, that I will delve into it and I can't stop, just like when I fall in love with a person. So when you mention people in the Netherlands, maybe my peers, are occupied with other things, I could maybe even see that as also part of what it means to be human, because they fell in love maybe with other things and are so occupied with it. And I had the privilege to reflect and look around me and see what I would really want to fall in love with. And I consciously chose this, understanding the human experience, understanding myself, and understanding the world around us. And that's what I fell in love with. So that.
Conscious living.
I fell in love with conscious living.
Yes. Okay. Then how does this is an important topic even for church or mission, because we have also the social teaching of the church. It's the life and the dignity of human being. Human person is at the center when we serve the society in the church, because every human being is created in the image of God and should be dignified, and life is a gift of God. So we have to nurture, we have to care for that. So also the human dignity is an important. So it's also this point is very important, I think, in your life as you continue, to center yourself, to live consciously. So you mentioned earlier you have various, activities which you are doing on education, on different social engagement, but also on the environment. So when we talk about the social teaching of the church, we talk about also injustice. And in the church we have also departments called Justice and Peace. So they are very related. Justice and peace are related because it comes together. I mean, if you want to have peace, you need justice. So it's also individually as a person, but also in the society, but also with the environment. So when you say injustice, is also something which you are fighting in the course of your life, but also in the society, but also related with the environment. So how do you do, to transform, how do you envision the transformation? Like you mentioned earlier about education. You have a foundation called ESSE.
The foundation, Yenenesh, and
okay.
The education, the company is called ESSE. Yes.
ESSE. So maybe you can a little bit elaborate on what in each of these components where you are engaged in relates to the core mission.
I can do that. Indeed. So I'm a part of entities, of organizations on these different planes. So you have Terrafino, where we do ecological and fine earth plastering materials. We develop and produce them. And we have ESSE, which we do educational transformation. So we do that both in the formal educational system, where we, for example, transform educational curricula in the prison system in the Netherlands, which is an environment that gives us a lot of information about the social injustices in the society, because it's expressed. It's far more clear how it's expressed in such a black and white environment. The door is closed, you don't enter. If something's wrong, it's really black and white. So then things become more clear. So that's that. And with ESSA, it's not only formal educational reform, we also do consultancy and strategy consultancy for organizations, high-impact organizations that can be corporate as well as non-corporate, governmental, non-governmental. Because we see strategy consultancy as education for companies, basically. And so what the red thread is in between that, in terms of contributing to social and ecological justice, or even the core mission, contributing to the evolution of humanity, is that maybe before all this, and when I really felt still only a victim, I was indeed fighting injustice. I believe that we're not fighting injustice anymore. I believe that we are contributing to the infrastructure that is needed for humans to understand ourselves, and therefore, from an understanding perspective, from a knowledge perspective, which will translate into wisdom, will dispel injustice in itself. And we do that through making people fall in love with Earth, with Terra Fino. We're showing how beautiful fine Earth buildings can be. Having worked with the best architects in the world, the best craftsmen in the world, for the people, beauty opens up. So in the end, beautiful buildings, it is subjective, but there is some commonality in it, will disarm people and will allow for people to fall in love eventually. So that's why with Terra Fino, we believe in a healthy earth, in well-being for people, so healthy material. We believe in beauty, so we train the craftsmen. We have academy for architects to learn about fine earth design, and we believe in craftsmanship. So, and we combine that into educating our ecosystem of craftsmen, plasterers, architects, and the people that live in the buildings themselves about natural building. Mm-hmm. That's Terra Fino. But so the core of it, even with Terra Fino, we're focusing on education. So it's actually two things: providing the information for people to fall in love with themselves, and then the other and the world around it. That's actually maybe even the core. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, esse is a Latin word. Can you explain it? The name itself.
Yeah. Esse means to be, and so I went to grammar school in the Netherlands, and so I learned Latin and Greek. I didn't finish it because I went midterm, like after 3 years. I mean, it's a 6-year stretch. I was at a timeout. In the timeout, I still did grammar school, but I got into a conflict. Very interesting. Injustice again, actually. Such injustice that I thought I will never return to the educational system. It's not for me. And I'm mentioning this because it has played a vital role why I eventually came back to the educational system and thought, no, wait. It was partially me, but it was partially also the system itself. But education in itself is very interesting and it's very important for humanity. And that's why I delved into it more and more and more. I fell in love with education and development. So I mentioned that. But to get back to esse, one of the words that I really loved during while learning Latin was that word. One, it was very simple. Two, it was a palindrome. So if you turn it around, it's still the same. But it's but also if you flip it, so if you turn it around horizontal, if you turn it around vertical, it still carries the same shape and form, yeah. And therefore you recognize the meaning. So esse for me was reflecting on it, was like the literal manifestation and the literal manifestation, because it's letters, of something that it doesn't matter what you do with it, it remains the same. So it's an essence of the thing. And then it also has the semantics of essence. With all the things that we do, is actually trying to go back to the source and understanding truth, understanding what is. And then you come to the word esse.
Versus the have.
Sorry, versus?
The have, to be and to have. These are the
two.
two.
Yes. I didn't even think of that. You know, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But indeed.
Yeah. But that is a different discussion. So we focus on to be and the human person being there. That is a different area which also connects with what we are trying to discuss. So in all these areas, in esse, but also in Terrafino for the environment, and then you're also the social engagement you have to support people, young people, especially who are adapted, to went to another country, and then they have their different kinds of cultural conflicts or whatever, that they try to be to reconcile with the situation in which they are. So this is something which also you aim to engage in the future, but also now you are doing it, I think. And then you are coming back to Ethiopia now and then, also to with your all this vision you have, so that you can contribute to the Ethiopian situation, whether it is in education, transforming education, but also the environment and the other social engagements you have. That is for you a life mission. It's a huge undertaking, I think. You are busy with it. So just a little bit to elaborate with these areas where you are engaged in. In the Catholic Church, we have an encyclical of His Holiness Pope Francis. It is called Laudato Si. I think I have here the booklet, the Amharic version, and then I shared it with you, also the English version. So here His Holiness is discussing about caring for our common home, the earth. So when I heard about your engagement in the Netherlands for the last 30 years, the founder of Terrafino was, trying also to do chemical-free construction material made only using earth or lime or clay. It is growing, and you are making momentum in different countries that it is growing. And then now we are trying also to establish a company here in Ethiopia in the future to produce eco-friendly material for construction. A lot of construction is going on in Ethiopia currently, and with imported materials, but also some produced here. But not most of them are, not eco-friendly, to be honest. So, and then this initiative, is aligning, with Laudato Si vision of His Holiness Pope Francis, but also the Green Patriarch we call Bartolomeo, the Orthodox, Pan-Orthodox Patriarch in currently in Istanbul, the See of Constantinople. He is also, together with Pope Francis, promoting green ecology or dialogue with the earth and caring. So the two figures are now trying to influence the political leaders to do something about what is happening now to our Mother Earth. So this is from your own way of initiative. You are working on trying to contribute towards this, caring for our Mother Earth. It will be good, to give a little bit insight into the Terrafino company, which is now in the Netherlands, but now you aim in the near future to have also one here in Ethiopia.
Terrafino is, as you said, 30 years ago, it was founded by Karol Giskus and his wife, actually, Katarina Giskus as well. But the
Dutch family.
Karol and Katarina. But the groundworks were done by Karol. He has traveled 7 years through, amongst others, Africa, also South America, and went by foot. So he traveled from the north to the south, also went through Ethiopia for a bit. And what he found there, this is the short version, he lived with the people that he encountered. And he was by trade an artistic engraver, so he could work with stones, and he already had craftsmanship on an artistic level. Craftsmanship is one part. You mastered the skill of your craft in such a way that you can copy what you see or what needs to be done. And how we see artistry is that you have that craftsmanship level, but then you can express something from within outward, which is original in itself, which is a creative original. And with that, so Karol already had that, and then exchanged actually what he could do with the people that he met, and learned from building practices from different communities, different countries, Ethiopia, Senegal, Mali, about natural building. And when he came back into Europe, firstly in Germany, and later then in the Netherlands, he set out. He experienced the difference. He had a reference, namely how it felt to be in a natural environment, natural building environment, and how it felt to be in a, so to speak, unnatural building environment, concrete, cementitious buildings. And then he understood that he had to make his mission to bring back natural building because it's pleasant and it's beautiful. And he understood that to be able to do that, there was a stigma around building with clay and nature in the Netherlands back then. We're talking about 30, 40 years ago. So the brown color of clay was to be seen as that's something for the farmhouses outside in the peripheral areas, but not in the cities. So he started to develop a finish material that was color and finish in one. So you don't have to paint it, and it wasn't per se the brownish color. It could be, but it wasn't. And he developed the first product, Terrafino Finish, which was indeed clay plaster, color, and plaster in one, in all the colors of the earth. So the colors were actually the clay itself, carefully curated and selected and filtered, and having the recipe just right, because it's actually loam is the real term, and loam is a mixture of clay and sand. And that became a hit. That was the first product. Architects loved it, and together with his wife and then the growing team, 30 years ago, they combined education about clay, workshops, with doing projects themselves first, and then slowly regressing backwards to going backwards into the value chain, and started only focusing on producing and developing the material, since there were more and more plasters and more dealerships who were taking it. That's the beginning of the company. And what's good to mention is that Katarina Giskus, his wife, is actually, you could see if you would see Terrafino as a system, then the craftsmanship part, the beauty part, and the material part would be embodied by Carol. The mission-driven social part, the immaterial DNA of the company, was embodied by Katarina. And Katarina is, for me, an example of consciousness into action, actually. She has always been steering the company towards, within the boundaries of social and ecological justice. And now they're both out of the company. Katarina half, but Katarina is still very much. Yesterday I got a text where she's doing a communal workshop about clay and peace. It's in her nature. So the founders are for me also very much inspirators and examples on both these planes. Material, because it needs to be concrete in the end. It needs to be earthly concrete, but also the immaterial part needs to be sound and it needs to be right. And that's a good inspiration to have.
Yeah, it's interesting very much. And then this is the material you produce, but at the same time you have training for people who apply it. I have the opportunity to visit the company and the production center. I have seen also that people were trained to apply it in different countries where what you produce, you have agents in different countries, and then you try to promote this work. So from that training part, we thought also to have some kind of agreement with us, with the Catholic St. John Paul II College, so that you can train our young people who are interested in finishing work. So that's what we are trying to do now. But that training part is also very important, I think, when you have a product which is different from other kinds of construction material. So you need also people who apply it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that actually began with. So for Terrafino, education was always already important. It was the workshops were part of how the company has grown over years, as well as how the stigmas and the stigmas around it and the value change that was needed came to be. So how an architect put it very beautifully was that Terrafino is not only now riding the wave of sustainability, it has created it. As Carl and Katarina, as pioneers 30 years ago in ecological construction. The next step is 3 years ago we restructured the company and are still in the final phases of that restructuring. The next step is that we are now developing and elaborating the educational concept. So Terrafino Academy is growing in the Netherlands, and we're and from that perspective, we're also doing it in Ethiopia and in other countries eventually. Again, two things. Before I stepped into Terrafino 3 years ago, I was already laying the groundwork for the vocational academy in Ethiopia. That was 6-7 years ago that we worked on that ecological vocational academy. When Terrafino came on my path once again, we're now combining the two. But it is actually it was already there with ESSA education as a. Okay, so for education, what we do with Terrafino, it's not only about applying the material. We're contributing to a human dignified building culture. So it's the entire culture around it. And that means that a plasterer is not only just an instrument to apply the right material. No, it's a plasterer as that human being the plasterer is far more than that. It has to have knowledge of why he's doing what he's doing, he or she. It has to have an understanding of the bigger picture. So applying the material is a part of the architectural concept that the plasterer is vital in. And it has to understand, one has to understand of the implications, not only the why, but the implications of the material that is used, or the way that it is, the culture in which the material is being applied. And that is being summarized in the Academy by, again, the pillars, Healthy Earth. So with Healthy Earth, a craftsman or student, in this case in Ethiopia, will learn about environmental aspects, and not in the sense of a green environmental aspect, but environment as a concept, understanding what the environment is, milieuwetenschappen, environmental studies. Then for the well-being part, well-being is focused on fine living for human beings. It has to understand the health implications, and that is building biology. So what are the implications for different materials in different mixtures? What kind of implications does it have in the first place on the craftsmen themselves, if they use it? Because if it's acidic, for example, they have to understand that they have to take precautions. And then, what is the implication for the end user? So if a baby is, if you're plastering a room where a baby will be sleeping, as a craftsman or a craftswoman, we believe that there's a responsibility to know if you're adding to the benefit of that child, or if it's actually not good for the health of the child, the material that's being used. So that's the wellness part. And then the aesthetics part, the beauty part. One could say, yeah, but beauty is not that important. But then again, you go to what does it mean to be human? And aesthetics is so much intertwined with the human experience that you cannot. It's not possible anymore to just say no, beauty will come later. So there's no hierarchy actually.
It's holistic.
It's holistic.
Yeah.
And by being able, if the craftsman understands beauty and how he can use his craft, which is the last pillar, craftsmanship, to express beauty, aesthetics, in a way that is in line with the context, with the architecture, with the identity of the building, and with which is very relevant for Ethiopia, with the Ethiopian identity, if one can speak of such a thing. Then, if everything is in line, then you're talking about a holistic and integrated craftsmanship, and that's far more than just teaching people to plaster, because we can do that in a week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting. Maybe we can elaborate more another time on this. So it's not only producing the material, but also the application in that process. All the human beings the persons who are involved in it, in the education, it's also creating something beautiful, and it's the approach is holistic. Very holistic, yeah. Thank you.